Yogananda used to tell a story about Krishna. And Krishna had these devoted disciples who every day would bring him his lunch, which was fresh curds or fresh cheese. And they would come to the river Jamuna and they would cross it and they would meet Krishna on the other side and he would greet them warmly and enthusiastically and share lunch with them. Well, one day they came to the river and the river was in flood. And they didn't see how they could possibly get to the other side to take this food to Krishna. But they saw a yogi sitting there in meditation, and they went up to him. And this yogi was Vyasa. Vyasa was one of the greatest disciples of Krishna. And they said to Vyasa, "Sir, how can we get across the river? We have to take Krishna his cheese." Vyasa looked at them and he said, Krishna, you're always thinking about Krishna. What about me? Why don't you give me some cheese?" So they said, well, okay. So they gave him the bowl of curds and watched as he ate 3/4 of the bowl of curds. And they were a little horrified, but then he handed the bowl back to them. And he went and stood by the river and he said, "Oh, River Jamuna, if I have not eaten anything, divide up and part." And the river parted. The disciples were amazed, but they ran through the opening in the river to the other side. Couldn't figure out how that could have happened when he obviously ate all that cheese, but they ran there, and Krishna was not waiting for them the way he usually was. So they went to his tent. And as the master described it, he was sleeping and his little belly seemed to be full. And they said, Master, we've brought you some cheese." He said, oh, don't bother me. That fellow on the other side of the river, he fed me too much already. I can't eat anymore. And so Vyasa, while he was eating, he was only thinking of feeding Krishna. Now, I've heard that story quite a few times, but this week I'm really trying to take that to heart. To just say, okay, when you're eating, what are you doing? When you're typing, what are you doing? When you're taking a shower, you're washing Krishna, you're feeding Krishna, you're bathing. You're just doing all of this for God and with God.